Hamidah was a dedicated housewife. Her husband, Hussein, had been a taxi driver for 30 years. Together, they raised 2 teenage children and an adopted son studying at university. One day, Hamidah and her 2 children waved goodbye as Hussein left for work as a taxi driver. When he arrived in the city, Hussein drove carefully. The streets were crowded, and traffic was extremely heavy. Suddenly, a criminal fleeing from the police crashed into Hussein's taxi. The tragic collision claimed his life instantly. The news of her husband Hussein's passing shattered her entire world. With no savings to depend on, Hamidah struggled to support her children. She knew she had to find a job, despite having no work experience. Hamidah went out to search for a job in the city, but because of her age, finding work was extremely difficult. After months of searching, she secured a part-time job at a printing company, working the midnight shift from 12 to 6. Her supervisor told her the work she is doing is simple, thus do not requires any skill, and she had nothing to worry about. On her 3rd day, the blade dropped suddenly and struck her hand. The investigation shows paper-cutting machine screw was loose. As a result, Hamidah lost her hand when she broke her wrist.
Okay, answer for the question number 1. Under the Social Security Act 1969, employees who are above 55 years old and newly employed are still covered, but only under the Employment Injury Scheme. They are not eligible for the Invalidity Scheme. For procedure, employer must register employees within 30 days through the assist portal or at the Perkeso office. Contributions are fully paid by the employer, and the coverage include medical benefit, temporary and permanent disablement benefit, and dependence pension. In Hamidah case, she start working at age 55, so she is eligible to be covered under the Employment Injury Scheme. Since her incident happened while performing her job, so should provide medical coverage and permanent disablement compensation. Why for under the Employees Provident Fund Act 1991, employees above 55 can still contribute to EPF if they start a new job. Their contribution go into account 55, and the contribution rate are lower, 4% from the employer and 0% from the employee. Procedure, employer must register employees through the employer I account or at the EPF counter. Failure to register is an offence. For Hamidah case, even though Hamidah was a part-time worker, her employer still had the legal responsibility to register her under EPF. If the employer failed to do so, it will be violation of the EPF Act. So, in conclusion, workers above 55 years old are still protected under SOCSO and EPF. In Hamidah case, the employer failed to provide proper training and safe equipment, which result in her injury. She is legally entitled to protect and compensation under SOCSO. This case highlights the importance of proper registration and safety completion for all workers, regardless of age.
Continue for the second question. For the second question, the Employment Injury Scheme is designed to protect employees from accident or occupational disease that occur as a result of or during their employment. Under this scheme, Hamidah is entitled to several benefits. The first is the temporary disablement benefit, which provide financial support if she is temporarily unable to work due to an injury. This benefit is calculated at 80% of her average assumed daily wage, with a minimum of 30 ringgit and a maximum of 105.33 ringgit per day, ensuring she can maintain her living expenses during recovery. If her injury results in a permanent disability, she can claim the permanent disablement benefit after completing the temporary disablement payment. This benefit pay 90% of her average assumed daily wage, subject to a minimum of 30 ringgit and maximum of 180.50 ringgit per day. The medical board assesses the degree of disability, and if it exceeds 20%, she has the option to convert 1/5 of the daily rate into a lump sum, with the remaining amount paid monthly for life. For employees with total and permanent disability requiring continuous care, the scheme provides a constant attendance allowance of 500 ringgit per month, which help cover the cost of daily assistance. Overall, this benefit ensure that employees like Hamidah receive timely financial support, medical assessment and care, safeguarding their well-being and security in the workplace.
Continue our presentation about the question according to this case study. The procedure that Hamidah needs to follow in order to receive a social security benefits under the SOSO. At first, let's look at the Hamidah's situation. After losing her husband, she had no choice but to work to support her family. Unfortunately, only a few days into her new job at the printing company, she has suffered a serious workplace incident due to the faulty paper cutting machines. This incident caused a permanent disability when her right hand to be amputated because this accident happened during the course of the employment. Hamidah also eligible to claim the benefits under the employment injury scheme provided by the SOSO. These benefits are meant to help the worker who are injured at work or suffer an occupational disability. Next, we look at the procedure Hamidah that must be followed. The first step is her employer had to notify the SOSO that the printing company is required to submit in the Form 21, which is the official accident report, and the Form 10, which is the claim form for the employment injury. This is very important because SOSO must be informed that the injury happened at the workplace during in the working hours. Hamidah also needs to prepare several documents to support her claims. These includes her attendance records, her medical certificates, and the reports, and also the copy of her identity card that she must bring the document to the nearest SOSO branch so that her case can be processed. Once these steps are completed, SOSO will evaluate her eligibility and provide the benefits that she is entitled to, such as the medical care, temporary disablement benefits, or a permanent disablement pension. In summary, by following this procedure, Hamidah can receive the protection and financial assistance that she deserves under the SOSO Employment Injury Scheme. Let's move to our group presenter.
Hamidah's injury is classified as an industry accident, which qualifies her for the Employment Injury Scheme. Due to the amputation of her right hand, she may claim permanent disablement benefit. The claim must be submitted within 12 months from the last day of temporary disablement for it to be valid. After submitting the claim, the case will be referred to a SOSO medical board for a disability assessment. Hamidah needs to be aware of whether her assessment exceeds 20% disability. If it exceeds 20%, she is entitled to receive a lump sum payment equivalent to 1/5 of the daily benefit rate, while the remaining balance will be paid monthly for the rest of her life. All required procedures must be followed to ensure that Hamidah receives her benefit under the Employment Injury Scheme. The benefit may be rejected if she fails to provide complete documentation or if the employer does not support the claim process.
So let's move to the last question, which is question 4. I will be explaining the rights and protections given to women employees under the Malaysian Employment Act 1955 with reference to the case of Hamidah. In this case, Hamidah was instructed to work a night shift that starts at midnight and ends at 6 in the morning. This action by the employer is not allowed under Section 34 of the Employment Act 1955, which specifically protects women from being required to work between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. without proper approval. The law is in place to safeguard female employees from potential risks during late hours. Additionally, the Act states that employees must provide at least 11 hours of continuous rest before a woman starts her next working day. This ensures that their health and well-being are prioritized. If an employer still wants a woman employee to work during prohibited hours, they must first apply for a written exemption from the Director General of Labour, who may grant approval along with specific safety conditions. However, it is important to note that Section 34 applies mainly to industrial and agriculture sectors. Women in other fields, such as commerce, hospitality, entertainment, and public health, may be allowed to work at night, but employers must still take strict precautions to ensure their safety. The main purpose of legislation is to protect women from dangers such as harassment, crimes, and safety hazards, which are more likely to occur during night shift when fewer workers are present. There have been cases in the past where women face threats while working late hours, causing fear among employees and damaging the reputation of business. In conclusion, Section 34 of the Employment Act plays a crucial role in ensuring the safety and rights of women workers in Malaysia. Employees must adhere to these rules and provide a safe working environment at all times. That's all from us. Thank you.